General Science. In this lesson, we are going to learn about magnetism. A batsman hits the ball to score a boundary. A child turns the handlebars of his bicycle with his hands to change its direction. In these cases, there is contact with the object on which force is applied. When a ripe fruit falls on the ground, we see the force of gravity acting on the fruit. There was no contact between the earth and the fruit, yet force was applied. When a comb is rubbed on dry hair, it picks up pieces of paper without touching them is because of the static electric force. In the same way, magnetic force too can be applied even if there is no contact. It is said that more than 2500 years ago, there was a shepherd named Magnus who lived in ancient Greece. He used to take his herd of sheep and goats to the nearby mountains for grazing. He would take a stick with him to control his herd. The stick had a small piece of iron attached at one end. One day, he was surprised to find that he had to pull hard to free his stick from a rock on the mountainside. It seemed as if the stick was being attracted by the rock. The rock was a natural magnet, and it attracted the iron tip of the shepherd's stick. It is said that this is how natural magnets was discovered. Such rocks were given the name magnetite, perhaps after the name of that shepherd. Magnetite contains iron. Some people believe that magnetite was first discovered at a place called Magnesia. The substances having the property of attracting iron are now known as magnets. This is how the story goes. The Greeks later called this rock magnetite. The name magnet derived from magnetite, and it represents all materials which attract iron. Magnetite is a natural magnet. Artificial magnets are made by humans. They are made in different shapes. For example, bar magnet, horseshoe magnet, cylindrical or a ball-ended magnet, Robson's magnet, and magnetic needle. Magnetic materials are attracted by a magnet and can be converted into magnets. Iron, cobalt, nickel, and mixtures known as alloys of these metals with other metals are examples of magnetic materials. Iron shows strong magnetic properties. All materials other than magnetite materials mentioned are not attracted by magnets. These are in general called non-magnetic materials, and they cannot be made into magnets. Properties of magnet. Poles of magnet. Magnet can attract iron, cobalt, nickel, and alloys containing these metals. The pull exerted by the magnet on these materials is called magnetic force. Activity. Spread some iron fillings on a sheet of paper. Now, place a bar magnet on this sheet. Some parts, especially the two ends, attract more iron filling than the other parts. So, these parts have more magnetic force than the other parts. These strong parts are called the poles of the magnet. The magnet has two poles finding directions. Magnets were known to people from ancient times. Many properties of magnets were also known to them. Let me tell you one interesting story about an emperor in China named Hongti. It is said that he had a chariot with a statue of a lady that could rotate in any direction. It had an extended arm as if it was showing the way. The statue had an interesting property. It would rest in such a position that its extended arm always pointed towards south. By looking at the extended arm of the statue, the emperor was able to locate the directions when he went to the new places on his chariot. Activity: suspend a bar magnet by a thin thread from a wooden stand. Gently tap the magnet so that it swings freely. Note the position of the magnet when it comes to rest. Repeat this several times and each time note the position of the magnet. We find that a freely suspended bar magnet always comes to rest in a particular direction, which is the north-south direction. A very popularly used device in modern days to find correct directions was developed based on this property of magnets. It is known as the compass. A compass is usually a small box with a glass cover on it. A magnetized needle is pivoted inside the box, which can rotate freely. The compass also has a dial with directions marked on it. The compass is kept at the place where we wish to know the directions. Its needle indicates the north-south direction when it comes to rest. The compass is then rotated until the north and south marked on the dial are at the two ends of the needle. To identify the north pole of the magnetic needle, it is usually painted in the different color. Attraction and repulsion between magnets. Suspend a bar magnet from a wooden stand by means of a thread. Allow it to come to rest in the north-south position. Bring the north pole of another magnet close to the north pole of the suspended magnet. We see that the north pole of the suspended magnet moves away from the north pole of the other magnet. This phenomenon is called magnetic repulsion. Now, let us take the other magnet bar away. Allow the suspended magnet to come to rest. Now bring the south pole of the bar magnet near the north pole of the suspended magnet. The two poles are attracted towards each other. This is called magnetic attraction. From this activity, we conclude that 1. Like magnetic poles repel each other. 2. Unlike magnetic poles attract each other. Activity. Let us perform an activity to see if two poles of magnet can be separated from each other. Take a thin bar magnet which you could cut with scissors. Mark its north and south poles. Cut the magnet at its center. Place both pieces in a dish of iron fillings. You will find that the iron fillings cluster around the magnet. Also, suspend the pieces freely and test for the north and south poles. You will find that both pieces come to rest in the north-south direction. If we keep on cutting the magnets into smaller and smaller pieces every time, we will observe that each piece has these same properties. It means that no matter how small you cut the magnet, each piece will have both the north pole and south pole. Thus we conclude that the two poles of a magnet cannot be separated from each other. Uses of magnet. Magnets are used for several purposes and in many devices. Magnets are used in magnetic compass, which is used for finding the direction. A mariner's compass also consists magnets and is used by sailors for navigation. Electricity meters, refrigerator doors, and dynamos of bicycles and automobiles use magnets. Magnetic tapes, that is plastic tape coated with magnetic material, are used as audio and video tapes and are also used in computers to store the information. Nuclear magnetic resonance, that is NMR. Imaging is used to study the brain. Magnets are used in bulletin boards and toys. Summary: iron, nickel, and cobalt are magnetic substances. Coming to rest in the north-south direction, having maximum magnetic strength at the poles are some characteristics of magnets. There is attraction between unlike poles and repulsion between like poles of magnets. Magnets have many household uses, as in magnetic door closers, refrigerators, pen holders, etc. So that is all in this lesson, student. Learning is fun. So keep learning.